Episode 3, Neural Plasticity, the Science of a New You. Welcome back to The Inner Architect. This is the third step in our 20-part journey toward total self-mastery. This podcast is brought to you by www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com, your source for deep psychological insights and the science of human potential. In our first two episodes, we explored the invisible structures of the mind, your identity and your shadow. We talked about how the stories you tell yourself and the parts of yourself you hide dictate your reality. But today, we're going to get physical. We're going to look at the 3 pounds of biological hardware sitting inside your skull. For a long time, the world of science believed that the brain was fixed. There was a common myth that you were born with a certain amount of intelligence, a certain personality, and a set of brain cells that would only decline as you aged. They thought that by the time you reached 25, the concrete had dried and you were stuck with the brain you had. But modern neuroscience has shattered that myth. We now know about a phenomenon called neural plasticity, or neuroplasticity. This is the biological proof that your brain is not a stone carving. It is a living, breathing, ever-changing landscape. Part 1. The highway metaphor. To understand neuroplasticity, imagine your brain is a vast, untouched forest. Every time you have a thought or perform an action, you walk through that forest. The first time you do it, it's difficult. You have to push through the brush and the branches. But if you walk that same path tomorrow, it's a little easier. After a month, you've created a trail. After a year of walking that path every day, you've created a paved highway. This is what happens in your brain. Your neurons, the cells in your brain, fire together and wire together. The highways in your brain are your habits. If you have a habit of reaching for your phone the second you wake up, that is a 10-lane superhighway in your brain. It is fast, it is automatic, and it requires zero energy. The problem is that our negative habits, anxiety, procrastination, self-criticism, are also highways. When you try to change, it feels hard because you are trying to leave the paved highway and hack through the bushes to build a new path. At www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com, we teach that the resistance you feel when changing isn't the sign of failure. It's just the sound of a new neural pathway being cleared. Part 2. Long-term potentiation, or LTP. How does the brain actually change? It happens through a process called long-term potentiation, or LTP. When you repeat a behavior, the connection between neurons becomes stronger. The bridge between them gets wider and the chemical signals travel faster. But there is a second half to this process that is just as important: synaptic pruning. Your brain is a master of efficiency. If you stop walking on an old highway, for example, if you stop the habit of complaining, the brain eventually realizes that path is no longer being used. It will literally prune those connections away and harvest the energy to build something else. This is the most hopeful message in all of psychology. Your past is not your sentence. You can starve the old pathways and feed the new ones, but you must be consistent. Neuroplasticity doesn't happen because of one big event. It happens through the small wins we talked about in episode 1. Every time you cast a vote for your new identity, you are physically thickening a neural pathway in your prefrontal cortex. Part 3. The role of attention and focus. One of the most powerful tools for directing your neuroplasticity is attention. In the digital age, our attention is being fragmented. We jump from one app to another, from one worry to another. When our attention is scattered, our neural wiring becomes weak and disorganized. To wire a new habit or a new belief, you need focused attention. Neuroscience shows that when you focus intently on a single task or a single thought, your brain releases a chemical called acetylcholine. Think of this as the glue that makes neural changes stick. At www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com, we recommend deep work sessions. If you want to become a person who is calm and focused, you must practice 20 minutes of undistracted focus. You are training your brain cells to hold a connection. You are literally building a stronger brain. Part 4. The Architect's Laboratory. As an architect of your own life, you need to realize that your environment is the laboratory where your brain is being wired. If you spend your time around people who are constantly negative, your brain is wiring for negativity. It is becoming efficient at spotting problems. If you spend your time learning, exploring, and practicing gratitude, your brain wires for opportunity. Reflection pause. I want you to think about one habit you've been trying to break. For the next 45 minutes of your day, I want you to visualize that old highway in your brain. See it as a road that is slowly being reclaimed by the forest. Now, visualize the new path you are building. It's narrow right now, and there are many branches in the way. That's okay. Every time you choose the new behavior, you are laying a single brick on that new road. Part 5. Biological support for change. To maximize neuroplasticity, you have to take care of the hardware. We often think of self-development as purely mental, but your neurons need specific conditions to grow. This includes sleep. This is when synaptic pruning happens. Without sleep, your brain is a cluttered mess of unused connections. Novelty. Your brain grows when it learns something new. Take a different route home. Eat with your non-dominant hand. Read a book outside of your usual interest. Nutrition. Your brain is made of what you eat. Omega-3s and hydration are the oil for your neural machinery. You can find a full brain health checklist to support your neural growth at www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com. We've designed it to help you create the perfect biological environment for the psychological changes we are making in this podcast. Closing thoughts. The takeaway for today is this: you are not a finished product. You are a work in progress, and your brain is your greatest ally. It is ready to change whenever you are. Stop judging yourself for how hard change feels. It feels hard because you are physically restructuring your biology. It should feel like effort. That effort is the sound of growth. Thank you for tuning in to episode 3. In episode 4, we are going to tackle a psychological giant that stops almost everyone in their tracks, the imposter syndrome. We'll talk about why the more successful you become, the more you might feel like a fraud, and how to use that feeling as fuel for growth. This has been a production for www.selfdevelopmentpsychology.com. Until next time, stay focused, stay consistent, and remember, you are the architect, and your brain is the clay.